welcome. Look forward to hearing from you. Good afternoon and welcome.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Vibhor. It's always great to come back to the alma mater, right? Passing out of this institute 20 years back, walking out into the streets of Delhi to figure out what did I learn from this institute? What did this institute give me? It gave me a degree in international business. And I started off working with a freight forwarding company, the German multinational Kuehne+Nagel, as I walked out from the campus to pick up a job there. It was fascinating. I thought world is all great. Things will work out. These kind of jobs will help me to stay engaged and I will survive the whole corporate world. It's come naturally to everyone, right? But a lot of things happened. So I'll just give some context because so many speakers spoke so much things. And I heard Havish speaking, I heard Bhavesh speaking, and I heard other speakers as well. What was interesting is what happened in the early 90s in this country. In the 90s, what we saw was we were into a financial crisis. Truckload of gold were sent by Manmohan Singh through the P.V. Narasimha Rao government to the Bank of England to make sure that we were able to pay the bills for after 3 weeks of import duties, which we had to pay so that we could survive as a country. Then the financial scam happened. Harshad Mehta came into the game. The scam created issues which were very, very important because that helped us to create the regulatory impact within the country. The SEBI as an entity became very powerful. And today, if you look at the Companies Act of 2013, that is where we have become very, very strong in terms of what happened. Now, why am I talking about all of this? We thought world was big, big place which had 1 scam, 2 scam, 3 issues, 4 issues. Then came fast forward 2000. And in the 2000, I was with the investment bank and specifically with Deutsche Bank. 2008, September 15th, midnight, we were called into office. Why? Because we had the US bubble breaking, the housing bubble breaking bust, and all the regulators went into big time issues and we had bankruptcy which was announced. And when the bankruptcy was announced, what we heard was Lehman Brothers has gone down. So why did we walk into the bank? We walked into the bank to figure out what was my exposure. How was my exposure getting managed? And what is it that I need to do? So at that time, if I had Havish, I would have solved my problem half the time. Right now, I don't have Havish. I have got analytics team working for me within my organization to help me. What Havish was explaining that we can do through Excel and how we can mitigate the problems and the solutions there. But having said that, what happened in 2008 was thought that all the world economy was not insulated. And there were incidents in each of the markets, whether it was the US market, the Europe market, the Asian market, and it had some kind of an impact. But we all as Indians thought our economy is the greatest economy. We will be insulated for the rest of our lives and we will be able to manage all of that. Fair enough. We thought we were good enough. We thought nothing else will happen in the future, which we will not be able to cover the basis. So we moved on. So what happened next was 2011, Standard & Poor's thought they're the greatest rating agency in the world and they downgraded US from AAA to AA+. The world went chaotic. The stock market went chaotic. Our system crashed in minutes because the trading swap and the volume swap became 2 times and 3 times what the machine could even imagine. So all the technology which we had spent and how we had predicted with Sarbanes-Oxley coming into play, with Basel law coming into play, with Singaporean audit system coming into play, with RBI coming into play, everything fell apart. And what we could manage was we had to manage again hours and hours of work manually to be able to ensure that we are able to drive and get what we wanted to get. And again, we thought, oh, what is it? It can only impact us to a limited extent and we will go forward. 2019, November, December, in the country, we went out in the balconies in the month of March to ring the bells, to get the spirits out, and so that the Covid-19 is coming out of the venomous manner, and we will ring the bell so that the spirits go out and we will be all safe. I think the biggest and the most defining moment which has happened to all of us was in the month of March, and specifically March 23rd, COVID-19 announced in the country and we get into a lockdown. The lockdown itself got the world into a grinding halt. So many people have written books, the world is flat, everything. But actually, at that moment of time, I realized that the world is actually flat. Everything has come to a standstill and every economy is interconnected. There is nothing else which has happened in this world as big as it has happened during the COVID-19. Now, what does it mean? What is my basic observation as we speak about the many social and the economic factors which have controlled the business owners? What do we do on our livings? From an organization and individual standpoint, today, we are only working on two theories. One is survive, and if possible, we will thrive. So the first point is I survive and then I thrive. And if I have to thrive and survive, what are the broad priorities which I have kept as a business leader over the years with working in the industry? Is one, how do you manage business growth? Two, what is my customer experience all about? And three, how are we going to make sure that we are getting the operational efficiencies? The questions which I ask myself, which is question number one, is what is my business going to do from a short-term survival to a medium-term growth? The basic focus is shifting to operational efficiency to maintain. And if we grow and if we have the bottom line as my top line growth, it is definitely going to happen in the near future. What is then important? Customer remains in my focus. And increasingly customers themselves are migrating to digital and self-servicing. And this is helping organizations to increase operating efficiencies while continuing to service them. The point to keep in mind is that the customer is squeezed between the race for the top line growth and drive for the bottom line operational efficiency. Therefore, the focus is to enable technologies that will support customer experience while reducing operating cost and continuing to manage and maintain the growth which is through the revenues. Now that sounds complex. It is not. It is simple. What is important is those companies who have stayed invested early are going to reap the greater benefits today and at a faster rate. The second question which comes and which is interesting for us is how do the product and service innovation being driven during the pandemic has changed the criteria for measurement, and has they really changed? So the question is, if the product and services innovations are being driven, has pandemic changed? Actually, the answer to that question, which I've had for so many months and weeks working, is that crises are the catalysts for transformation. And every time we have seen a crisis, the businesses get forced to innovate, whether it was 1991, whether it was 2008, whether it was 2011, whether it is 2019. Every time there is a issue in the market, it will make sure that we not only innovate, and the people who are far-sighted will have the strategic advantage. Now, success criteria, as we had the question in terms of how is the behavior changing and how is the success criteria changing, success criteria will always remain same. It will always remain same because customer adoption, pandemic has only helped us to accelerate. Customer didn't have much choice in pandemic. They were having to try, and when they tried, they fell for it, and now they're sticking to it, right? The baseline of digital adoption in servicing has shifted perceptibly. And the levels we have taken a couple of years to reach with a lot of interventions and incentives have been achieved in months. I'll give you an example. Our chat bots, our email bots, our voice bots, our contextual IVRs, all of that which was in pipeline, somewhere in progress, somewhere getting delivered, all got delivered in 6 months. And we are all ripe today to be able to take the pace to the next level, because today what we see is the digital adoption will make sure that we are able to not only sustain business, but by using the bots, we are perceptibly changing the operating margin, which I spoke a little while back. And that is critical to the business today because my margins are getting thinner because my spend is getting down in the market. Let's do some kind of a shift management, right? We spoke about it. When I started going to, because I work in the essential sector, I had to go to office, and because of my role, I wanted to go to office to work. So I did not stay at home, and I don't do a work from home every day. But what has happened is I've started to go to office from April until today. I used to take 15 minutes to drive into office. Today I take 35 minutes, which means people have come back in crowds. Second shift which I see is the spend. So if you see the spend, the way the spend has shifted in the country is that during the summer vacation, which was March till the end of August, September, October, people used to travel, people used to have food outside, people used to have holidays, they used to take the children away, they used to make sure that they go to their places of tourism or family or etc., etc., etc. That big shift in terms of eating outside, movie theaters, entertainment, food, and the other travel related businesses and hotel related businesses has come down. What has shifted and what we are seeing as a spend shift in the country is education, online education, OTT, which is Netflix's, Amazon's of the world, all the related health related, fitness related regime, and the vocational learning which people want to do, because today they have got more time left with them. So they want to pursue music, they want to pursue online stuff, right? That is critical. Then that shift has to be understood from an organization standpoint, and you have to product and service the customer differently. Now, at the pace of innovation, the basic shift which we are also seeing is this online stuff, right? Today, we are doing a MANTHAN, which is an e-meeting platform, and we are trying this, and we are making sure that we are emerging, and this has become the most proliferated focus area today, because everyone wants to connect virtually. Now, what does it mean? Now, work from home is the new set to become a base strategy rather than an innovation. Earlier we used to say, work from home, oh my God, you're doing a strategy, you've changed the CRM, you've created the controls, you've put the regulatory compliances in place, and everything is working in the right way. No, that has shifted. That is going to become the norm, and that's going to become the base. And I will relate it back to an analogy. In the 1980s, we used to have VCR. I know the kids sitting here are far younger than what I look like or the age group I belong to. But we used to watch a lot of stuff on VCRs, and then came the movie theaters where we had the Dolbys, and we used to go and watch Dolby theaters. And then innovation happened. The DVDs came in, the Blu-ray came in, and now the OTT dimension has thrown everything out of the corner, right? Everyone is into OTT. You ask a damn new kid, a millennial, what is it that you're watching? They will say they've got 7 channels and 20 programs to watch. I couldn't even feed myself through Doordarshan in good old days, right? Forget about the 20 channels and 22 OTT channels which we have today, right? And everyone is feeding something or the other, and everyone is glued on to their phones, and I don't know what, but they keep watching something, right? So that is exciting, because the ISPs are now earning in billions, and tomorrow Reliance's stock price will go up to 25, 27, 30 or 4,000 rupees. I don't know, but that is something which we will go in and see. But with that change, what you see is the consumer behavior has changed. What it means is the customer still today is watching in a hybrid model. Those customers who still want to watch a movie in the theater with the real-time experience will go to the movie hall. Those people who believe that they can still watch the compressed version on a phone will continue to watch the compressed version on the phone. So what I see is a transition which is going to happen now is that the work from home, which has taken a larger dimension, people will have more time and resources, and they will save time commuting. And if you save time commuting, you will spend time on leisure, sports, and travel, and indulge in hobbies. And that will now stop where the people complain, I don't have time. Now they have time, and now they can utilize it effectively if they want to go for it. Now the third question which comes to my mind in this pandemic is, there's a major challenge in the current way we are limiting and connecting on work from home environment and maintaining employee connect, morale, and productivity as in office, which requires unconventional methods. Now, this is more a psychological aspect of the game, and it is important that we understand this game, because every shift in the human behavior will have an impact on their productivity and their enablement and their mental state. Everything is connected there. Now, in the shorter term, what we have clearly seen that there is a danger, because this new environment where the frontline task or this frontline staff, this first level supervisor and the managers, they have a lot of contribution to do, and the individual contributors are also wanting to work cross-functionally and have internal and external interactions, and they're wanting to enable and manage and connect channels while operating remotely. Work from home does not impinge negatively on the work-life balance is the first question. And if it does, Are we extending our work hours? And sometimes people are taken for granted. So at night, 11 o'clock, you're expected to log in, jump in, get into a video call, fix the problem, go back home. Earlier, you used to shut your office at 8 o'clock and go home and sleep. So that shift which has happened is creating lot of issues in terms of sanctity of the work schedule. So what is it that we're changing and what we're putting as a bullet point? One, maintaining a routine and a leadership accountability framework that mandates and monitors connect. Second, continuing reporting performance and management dashboards with scheduled reviews. So that schedule and other timelines should not change. Third is online training and feedback mechanism. Fourth is ideation forum for innovation. And fifth is reward and recognition with virtual ceremonies. Now, the fact remains physical remoteness need not mean abrogation of supervisory connect. So the question number 4 then which comes to my mind and which we need to answer is, how is the digital presence and the activity increased in the last 4-5 months? And are we observing with ourselves and our customer getting digital fatigue? What are the ways and means we will going to retain interest and mindshare with customers? The question is not about digital versus physical. It is about what proportion of each mode to be incorporated in an effective strategy. I believe things evolve over time and the model optimizes. Both digital and physical formats will coexist. And as a business, we should not force fit digital for all. Neither processes, activities, nor customers. Take the example of education. So today, education is all online. It can't replace experience of going to the school and college. I can see Shirley sitting there. I can see Puna sitting there. They're not meeting on a physical forum today to impart knowledge and education. But we have to remember one thing. Education is not about syllabus and the curriculum. It is a holistic social growth of an individual, which can't happen without peer connect. Hence, both have to coexist and it has to complement. It has to be a digital and a physical model intertwined. Time will tell us the digital and the physical model as to how the campus, physical campus will complement the core curriculum and how will it facilitate the online enabling. Let's give an example. Sports, arts, culture. These are less amenable to a digital experiment format. So we will have to figure out how all of this going to happen. Now going back to that same DVD, VCR, Blu-ray construct and the movie theater story, if you look at how is the customer going to come back, the customer is not going to come back to me to watch a movie. He is going to come back to me because of the experience. And today, what is important for us to understand is, am I compromising the experience of the customer? If the answer to that is no, then we are at the right place. If the customer's experience is being marginalized by the digital servicing, then we have to relook at it. What does it mean? It means that digital sales and servicing won't be completely over, right? But what it will take over is a routine and the operational business and dimensions of customers. The complex and the emotional needs of a customer will always need a human touch, human connect. Let's take an example. The voice bot will come in, the chat bot will come in. They will become increasingly more adept at responding and resolving the normal standard basic queries of account balance, online transfer, and any other base servicing operation, right? That will not change. That I have seen has not changed. And what the customer who wants to file an insurance claim, a customer who is come in for a life insurance redemption and a death in the family, a customer who is come in because he's lost a card, what does that customer need? That customer needs warm reassurance of a human persona that can only service, not only service, but provide emotional support and even reassurance in an agitated state. This would also mean a substantial amount of upskilling and reskilling of the customer care team as the emotional quotient becomes stronger than the transactional skill. So fundamental shift has to happen in terms of core deliverables. Moving forward, now with pandemic and all the aspect, and we are looking at this subject line of new world gaining on efficiency, for sustainability. For me, the way forward from a sustainability standpoint is resiliency is going to be the building block for all of this. And what it means is the firms will move away from home. Many experienced an upside in productivity, which we have seen, into problem solving mindset, and all of this we will shift. What is going to shift and what is going to stay, and that is my view, are 5 key areas. The first is restructuring the work people do. What it means is that the task or the most value added customer or critical survival mechanism, or classifying the work as essential, necessary, or wasted according to the impact on delivering strategic value to the organization, will continue to be the focus of the organizations. Second is empowerment to the leadership. What is mean is that we have to evaluate the leadership styles today we do. We have to clearly communicate what is it that is required from an outcome perspective, empower our teams, and make sure that we are creating a more safer, collaborative environment with better sense of ownership. Companies should also be able to identify and support the leaders who emerge during this crisis. The third is shift in beliefs and behaviors. As life returns to normal, leaders must also understand how the beliefs of the productive people, engaged people during the crisis has changed. And they must also replace the crisis with inspiring purposes so that they can nurture and sustain what we have created during the urgency. And how do we sustain it? The fourth is building resiliency. This is important. Why? Because with the increasing of the pandemic, what we saw that the productivity level of the employees have gone up, and they have really gone up. But after we realized that the pandemic is not going to go over, it started waning. It started waning. The urgency that had powered the individuals is now starting to be dissipated. And what is left is tired teams. What is left is a dawning realization that this new environment is going to be the way and norm in the future. Now, with this testing times, how do you create a resilient workforce, and how do you make sure that we are taking care of their well-being and mental health? And what is it being developed through the basic technique of self-awareness and self-management, and how is the organization going to invest in an overall well-being of their workforce? The final thing which I would state, the fifth point, is new economic behavior will lead to building and reskilling according for the future. This goes back to my 20-year story again. When I was getting trained, I thought I should get trained in international business and I will be relevant. And when I walked out of the institute, I thought in the next 20 years to 30 years I work in this corporate world, this qualification of mine will help me. No. What has helped me is that I have been ready to change myself in the last 20 years, reskilling myself, making sure I'm able to stay relevant to the market. And what has the pandemic taught me? The pandemic has taught me two things. There is always hope and there is always greater opportunity in life. We need to stay focused and things will fall into place. Thank you so much for the time you've given me.
Thank you so much, Prathiman. That was very inspirational. And specifically the last piece that you said, that was really motivating. I'd like to now go to Ravi. Ravi, hi, and sorry for the wait. Apologies for that. But you're welcome. Good afternoon, and we look forward to hearing your insights.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you, everyone. Prathiman, I feel happy with my all-time low credit card bills. So as a issuer, as a card issuer, you may not be very happy, but yeah, all of us, or at least majority of the people spending being all-time low, you don't feel the pain of paying the credit card bills anymore. So coming back to what we have been as as a housing finance lender, kind of learned